What's up, Metal Brethren? This is Scott Tannic One coming at you again live from the dungeon with something a little bit different today. This is going to be called the Vault Reviews, and what I mean by Vault Reviews is pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty much older albums from older artists, especially the more influential artists of the many subgenres of metal. And this first series, I'm really going to hint on death metal and some of its founding bands. Besides Venom, which Venom really needs no introduction or reviews by me. If you're a fan of metal and you don't know who Venom are, you need to climb the fuck out of underneath the rock that you live under. Um, anyway, end of rant. Um, can't really talk about death metal though without talking about this band and this album in particular. It is Possessed with their 1985 album Seven Churches. Um, Before I really get into the tracks and the album itself, I really want to talk about the time period from which it's released. Like I said, 1985, which was really dominated by the glam metal scene, and the thrash metal scene was kind of at its apex, at its its high water mark was really set in the 1985 era era year. Anyway, there was not a lot of gray area in the metal scene at this time. There was the white area, which was the glam metal, the more radio friendly stuff, and then there was the blacker area, which was the thrash metal. Well, also black metal was around too. Bathory was around doing their thing, but that's another series. That's another series of Vault. We're talking about death metal. We're not talking about black metal right now. We're talking about death metal. And yeah, this album in particular, I mean, if you think about the time period, this was really fucking heavy for what was going on the radio, or in the underground in particular. I mean, like I said, besides Venom, this band is really just pivotal, just a necessity for extreme metal, and most extreme metal acts. So many extreme metal acts draw inspiration from this record in particular, and it's really not a surprise to see why, especially with tracks like, The Exorcist, Pentagram, especially The Exorcist. It just opens that record with, the Tubular Bells theme from The Exorcist, just done in a really eerie, kind of creepy vibe. Really fucking love it. Then you get into tracks like Burning in Hell, Evil Warriors, Satan's Curse, the title track, Seven Churches, Holy Hell, Twist. I mean, every track on this record, I just think, is just masterpieces, like a cornerstone of what death metal would become. Especially with the stuff that happened in Tampa, Florida, in the late '80s and the early '90s. But we'll get into that here in a little bit when I talk about bands like Morbid Angel and Cannibal Corpse. But Deicide. Anyway, if you're new to extreme metal, I really couldn't recommend this album, being the fact that it's so lo-fi. But yet again, at the same time, I could also see where, like, a lot of the black metal people will definitely really dig this record. I mean, if you really haven't heard Possessed Seven Churches and you're a fan of extreme metal, I really can't get that, because this is a landmark. This is like one of those must-own albums. I done ran through most of the tracks, but there's one track in particular, the final track on here, which coined the phrase and name tag for this genre, which is death metal. It's really just an amazing, amazing track. Possessed got started in 1983, and yet at the same time, they didn't really come into their own till '85, and it was with this record. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to really say about this record besides that it's just fucking awesome. Um, Especially if, you're a metal historian and really want to get into the history of the subgenres of metal. I definitely recommend picking this one up. I'm going to go ahead and rate this beast for you. Being the fact that it's a little lo-fi, kind of hurts with the score, I'm going to give it just a tad. I mean, I'd almost feel like I'm slighting this record by saying it, but yet not at the same time. I think it's kind of a deserving score, being the fact that, it was, pretty much a prototype for everything that was going to go, that was, to come with death metal. And I'm going to go ahead and give this beast 4.5 out of 5. Definitely a must own for any metal aficionado out there. If you're really into extreme metal, you owe it to yourself to pick this one up. But you know, you may disagree with me. And if you do, you know, hit me up in the comments, you know. Let me know what your thoughts on Possessed are, and especially this album in particular. Um, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here on this one, all right? 4 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5. Duh. I'm going to go ahead and shut up before this gets any stupider. Later, Metal Brethren. Scatanic One signing off.